Did you know that no two tigers in the world have the same stripes? Just like human fingerprints, tiger stripes are unique to each tiger. They are majestic, aren't they? But they are endangered because over 97% of the tiger population has been eliminated by poachers, all because of their coat. There are only 3,000 left of 100,000 tigers. So, 13 tiger range countries came together to create T into 2, a global initiative to double wild tigers by 2022. Good luck T into 22 as we celebrate World Tiger Day this week. If you like Kaleidoscope, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
Did you know you can open a digital fixed deposit with just 5,000 rupees? Open a CDB iDeposit digital fixed deposit today. CDB, your friend.
It's time for a quick look at our week on CDB Snapshot. The ADB says Sri Lanka's economy will contract by 7.6% in 2022 and economic activity will remain subdued in 2023. Worker remittances in the first half of 2022 declined by 51.6% to $1.6 billion. Over one-fourth of Sri Lankans face food insecurity, with 6.3 million people being food insecure while another 6.7 million not having acceptable diets. The International Finance Corporation gives Dialog Axiata a $150 million funding package to develop broadband infrastructure across the country. The WHO declares the highest alert over the monkeypox outbreak, with over 16,000 cases reported from 75 countries. Monarch butterflies are now listed as an endangered species in the IUCN's Red List of Threatened Species. A mushroom-shaped design broke the world record for the most diamonds in a single ring. It has 24,679 diamonds.
We are here to better your lives and champion your every goal. With 12 billion rupees worth of customer benefits in 2020 and a life insurance fund worth over 100 billion rupees, our strength is your strength. You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Srilanka Life.
Welcome, you're watching Srilanka Life News Capsule. Apparel exports hit an all-time high in June with earnings of $537 million, the highest ever for any month. Exports for the first half of this year rose 20% to $2.8 billion. The industry continues to be a lifeline for Sri Lanka's economy. But most recently, media reports have been quoting a significant increase of as much as 30% of apparel industry workers turning to the sex trade for fear of being laid off. Given that the industry has always maintained a high level of compliance in human rights, labor laws and compliance asks of especially the US, the EU and the rest of the West, I invited the Secretary General of the Joint Apparel Association Forum, Johan Lawrence, into the studio for a brief chat. Johan, so is there any reasoning for these women to fear that they will lose their jobs?
Absolutely not. There is work. The factories are full, factories are expanding, and right now there is no question of companies laying off people, so it's a bit of an unfounded threat.
So this 30% increase of women going into the sex trade, how would this impact the industry in general, given that the EU, the US and the West specifically are very strong on compliance?
This is not new. This sex trade has been around, as you know, for years and years. What the industry has done over the years is they've moved away from the FTZs, particularly Katunaika. In the sort of 70s and 80s, when firms were setting up, Katunaika was the place to be and we had large numbers of people employed. Unfortunately, places like Katunaika also come with the fact that people have to move away from home, they have economic hardships and it becomes difficult. So this is why over the years the industry has moved away from the free trade zones, Katunaika in particular, and located their factories in areas close in remote villages where people can stay at home, they can travel short distances, they don't have to have the costs of boarding, and at the end of the day they can go home, so they are more secure. So this move away from free trade zones has really taken the pressure away in terms of our own employees because they are protected, they are safe because they are working from home. The same would happen even in terms of the SME factories, the smaller factories. They were probably never inside the zones. They tend to be, again, located close to, smaller towns, remote locations. So in that sense, we see that all we can do is to make sure that we provide a safe working environment, that we look after people, and that we give them the best opportunities to earn to conduct their economic activity in the formal sector, thereby getting the benefits of EPFs, ETFs, gratuities, all of these things. So that's all that we can do, is to make sure we create that enabling environment for our employees.
There's been some renewed interest in the Colombo stock market this week. The All Share Price Index was down by just 0.5 percentage point, but the average daily turnover shrank to 873 million rupees. Oil settled at lower than $99 per barrel this week as US investors worried about lower consumer confidence. Gold steadied and rebounded slightly to $1,750 per ounce this week. Do you know that recycled plastic bottles are now turned into yarn? So technically, you may be wearing plastic bottles when you buy your clothes. Zero Trash collects nearly 3 tons of plastic waste every month just from the Western Province alone for sustainable recycling. Furniture with a twist. This South Korean artist quite literally breathes life into his creations, turning blow-up balloons into structurally sound furniture. And your stool or chair is just $12,000. Learn to read faster. Join speed reading with Sanjay. Just let us know if you like to speed read and we'll gift you a speed reading program with Sanjay. Sri Lanka has to start looking ahead. Crying over what could have happened and what should have been just doesn't cut it. But to move forward, we have to make some very drastic, tough changes. What would these be? So with me today on Let's Talk is Sulochana Disanayaka, who's from Power of Play, and her puppet, Puak Badili. Ayubowan Puak Badili, why are you panting?
Ayubowan. Ayubowan none. Mama, pagalene aavi none, pagalene. Kelly, daddy. Podakin. Put cycle none aavi, put cycle. Hamme, අපේ උන්ද 3 wheeler එකට තෙල් ගහන්න දවස් 5ක් පොලිමේ හිටියන ඕනේ. දවස් 5ක් ප්‍රෙෂර් උත් නැග්ගා උන්දගේ. මං කිව්වා අනේ ඔය කෙහෙමල්ට තෙල් ගහන්න නැතුව අර පොඩි කාගේ මලකඩ කාපු පුට් සයිකලේ අරගෙන සුද්ධ කරලා දැන් දෙන්න මාරුවෙන් මාරුට පැදින්නේ.
So we have been talking a lot about horu, haven't we?
අම්මෝ කියලා වැඩක් නෑ නෝනෝ. WhatsApp දැම්මත් රූපවාහිනිය on කරත් රේඩියෝ එක on කරත් හොරුන්ගෙම තමයි ප්‍රවෘත්ති.
Who is the biggest hora?
නෝනේ මේක නම් ගොඩක් කට්ටිය දෙන උත්තරයක් නෙමෙයි. ඒත් මම නම් හිතන්නේ ලංකාවේ ලොකුම හොරා මහ බැංකුව කියලා. ඉතින් නෝනේ දැන් ඒ කාලේ අවුරුදු 2කට කලින් 17 ගන්න පුළුවන් ගානට අදට අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් 1
So you're talking about inflation here, Puak Badili.
හරියට හරි නෝනේ මහ බැංකුව. හේතුව අපි කල්ප ගණනාවක් නෝනේ මේ ඊයේ පෙරේද ප්‍රශ්නයක් ගන්න මේ මං කියන්නේ. කල්ප ගණනාවක් ලංකාව අපේ ආදායමට වඩා වැඩි වියදමකට තමයි ජීවත් වුනේ. අපි වියදම අඩු කරගන්නවා වෙනුවට මොකද කරේ? සල්ලි අච්චු ගැහුවාම නෝනා කිව්වා අර මොකද පුතේ ඉන් කතන්දරේ උද්දමනය. අන්න හරි. උද්දමනය ඉහළ ගියාම සල්ලි වල අගය පහළ යනවා. ඉතින් නෝනේ සල්ලි මිටියක් අරන් යන්න ඕනේ දැන් 17 එකක් ගන්නත්. ඉතින් ඕකට වග කියන්න ඕනේ මහ බැංකුව. හරියට හරි. හැබැයි නෝනේ සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංකුවට විතරක් අත දික් කරලා වැඩක් නැහැ. අපි බලන්න ඕනේ මොකද්ද අපේ වියදම ඔච්චර වැඩි වෙන්න හේතුව කියලා. දැන් නෝනේ අපි හැම ඡන්දෙටම කියනවා මෙන්න මේ කට්ටියට ඡන්දෙ දුන්නොත් ජීවන මිල පහත දානවා කියලා. රස්සාවල් රජයෙන් දෙනවා කියලා. නෝනා හිතන්නේ ඕවා නිකන් වෙනවා කියලාද? කවුද ඕවට ගෙවන්නේ? අපිමනේ. ඉතින් නෝනේ ඔය ඔක්කොම වියදම් අපිට දරා ගන්නට බෑ. අපි අන්න ඒවා අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි නෝනේ රජයේ පාඩු ලබන ආයතන කොච්චර අලාභයක් විදිහට හිතන්නේ අවුරුද්දකට. ඔන්න ඔය පාඩු ලබන රජයේ ආයතන තරඟකාරීව පුද්ගලීකරණය කරොත් මම කියන්නේ තරඟකාරීව ඔය ලාභ ලබන්නත් ඕනේ නෝනේ. අලාභය බිඳුවට ගෙනාවොත් එක පවුලකට හම්බෙන සමෘද්ධිය අපිට 5000 ඉඳන් 20000 කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා තමයි ඔස්තාර්ලා කියන්නේ. දැන් අපේ රටට ඩොලර් ගෙන්න කිකිලියෝ කවුද? සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයයි විදේශ විනිමය උපයන්නම්. දැන් ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙන්න විතරක් දිහා බලාගෙන මදිනේ නෝනේ. කොරෝනාව ආවහම සංචාරක නතර වුණා. ඩොලර් එකට ලැබෙන රුපියල් ගාණ අඩු වුණාම විදේශ විනිමය එකත් නතර වුණා. ඒකට ඉතින් ආනයන අඩු කරලා අපනයන වැඩි කරනවා කියලා දෙයක් නැහැ. අපනයන වැඩි වෙන්න නම් ආනයනයත් වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම. අන්න ඔය ටික තමයි නෝනේ අපේ ඇත්තටම මේ වැටලා තියෙන අර්බුදයට හේතුව. ඔන්න ඔය ටික විසඳ ගත්තා නම් අපිට යාන්තමින් අපේ ළමයින්ටවත් පෝලිං වල ලගා ගන්නට ඕන නැති රටක් අපිට ඉතුරු කරලා යන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි නෝනේ ඔය සේරම කරන්න නම් මෙන්න මෙතන වෙනස් වෙන්න ඕනේ.
A mindset change.
හරියට හරි. ලොකුම සහනාධාර මල්ලයි රජයේ රස්සාවල් පොරොන්දු කරන එකට ඡන්දෙ දෙනකොට කතිරේ ගහන්න නැතුව සහනාධාර අඩු කරන්න ඕනි. දුප්පත් මිනිස්සයාට විතරක් සහනාධාර ලැබෙන්න ඕනි. අපේ මෙන්න මේ ව්‍යාපෘති සංශෝධනය කරන්න ඕනි. මේ සුබ සාධන සංශෝධන කරන්න ඕනි කියන එකටත් අපි අහුම්කම් දෙන්න ඕනි. ඉතින් හරි කට්ට කාලා අපිට හරි තැනකට එන්න පුළුවන් නම් නෝනේ මං අද කිව්වා කියලා හිතා ගන්නට හරි දේ කරොත් තව අවුරුදු 5කින් අපිට දකුණු ආසියාවේ දියුණුම රටක් වෙන්න බැරි නෑ.
Puak Badili, lots of words of wisdom. But you have a world view about our local view. Thank you so much for joining us today.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි නෝනේ.
We're all struggling with household budgets these days. Putting food on the table can be challenging due to food being very expensive. So on Life in 60 today is Erasha Hettige, who has come up with a range of recipes with her Lankan Frugal Fridays. Breakfast on a budget, low-cost lunches and fancy frugal dinners. How did you come up with this?
Along with another blogger called Tahini, we came up with these recipes that are basically for feeding your family but on a budget. So they're really versatile recipes that you can make with whatever you have in your kitchens. But if you use the local ingredients, things that are seasonally grown or even whatever you have in your garden, you can make really healthy, balanced food that you can feed your family at a low budget. So today what we're having is a peanut noodle. So one thing that we kind of thought is important when creating these recipes is to make sure that all the nutrients are present in them. So you have your carbs, your veggies as well as your fats and proteins. So what I'm doing here today is I'm using peanut butter. You can always use roasted peanuts instead to create the protein in the dish. So I'm going to make a dressing. So I've got some peanut butter. You can use roasted peanuts with a little bit of oil that is kind of like blitzed together. To do this instead, add some chili paste, a bit of hot water just to thin it out. Now it's just a matter of mixing everything together. I've got some cucumber. So you can use any veggie that you have on hand. I'm using cucumber, a little bit of spring onion and some coriander today. Even grated carrot, snake gourd, things that you wouldn't usually eat in salads are actually really good raw. And now it's the hard part, mixing everything together. So here I've just used your basic ramen, just one pack. But this is enough usually for 2. See, would you like to try it?
Yes, why not? Today we celebrated our beautiful but endangered tigers. Here's a life lesson from them on our Kaleidoscope takeaway. The tiger lies low, not from fear, but for AIM.